Following all the fun at Sun City, the Donaldson Cross Country Championship made the trek to Vryburg, the principal town of the Dr. Ruth Mompati district, and the men instrumental behind bringing racing back to the area, Andre and Malcolm Koch.
So ons ken die terrein redelijk goed, soos ek vanoggend sê. As ek verdwaal, sal ek weer by die huis uitkom. Maar ons weet wat 'n rigting loop die roete, maar ek dink dit is vir ons ook iets nuuts. Adrie hulle sê dit 'n baie lieflike roete, baie tegnies, iets van alles vir ons uitgesit. So ons sien baie daarna.
All eyes were understandably on the Castrol Toyota crew of Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy, who were looking for their fourth win on the trot to extend their lead at the top of the championship. The pair duly delivered, putting in another superb performance on the virgin terrain, leading from start to finish, having also set the fastest time in qualifying.
It was a difficult 2 days for their main rivals, Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst in the Ford Racing Ranger. They were troubled by a loose protector cover on their back diff. After removing it and getting back out onto the route, the pair produced arguably the drive of the day, which put them second in the Class SP Championship.
And they'll need to clock in as many hours as they can in the car as they are headed for Dakar in January, a first for both of them. They also experienced a flat en route, but again it was quickly patched up as they managed to claim third place on the podium.
Now, two men who know a lot about Dakar, Duncan Foss and Rob Howie. The Castrol Toyota crew and defending champs put in another solid performance, with Duncan describing the route as brilliant. They had their hiccups, such as beaching their car on a hump, along with the odd puncture, but the experience proved telling as they claimed second place and third in the SP points standings.
4.5 points behind them in the standings, the Atlas Copco team of Gary Berthold and Siegfried Rousseau, who also came fourth on the day.
Plenty of problems for Johan van Staden and Mike Lawrenson in the Toyota Hilux. They hit a massive rock, and while van Staden did phenomenally well not to roll the car, they had to settle for a DNF.
Hicho de Brain and Henry Hicho finished fourth in their Mickerin Toyota Hilux. A minute quicker and a place on the podium could have been theirs.
One place further back, the first of the region racing crew, Michael Whitehouse and Matthew Carlson.
Rounding out the top 8 in the SP class, Malcolm Koch and Johan Berger.
It's been a very hard championship for Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable. They experienced a flat early in the first loop. While they got back on the road, 50 k's from the end, the input shaft broke, forcing an end to their race.
Yanni Visser and Joks Leroux bent a prop shaft during the first loop, but it was nothing they couldn't fix as they went on to finish in ninth.
Sharing 10th spot, Loder Brain and Rian Krailing in the Rubicon Racing Ford Ranger.
Another pair that never got out of their car, Graham and Trevor Leith in their Transcore Ford Ranger, 11th overall after finishing the race in 8th place.
Despite having a different navigator for every race, Archie Rutherford in the Imperial Automotive Nissan is 12th in the championship. This time around, he was with John G. Rhodes.
Henny de Klerk and Johan Smallberger from RFS Motorsport set a time of just over an hour in qualifying and then went on to finish the race in 13th place.
They may not have seen many finishes this season, but this time around, the RFS Motorsport team of Christian Deploy and Henk Janssen van Vuren did reach the flag, doing so in 10th place to move to 14th in the championship. And almost 6 minutes behind them, Terence Marsh and Gerard Skitter from Regent Racing.
They were followed by Leroux and Guelpo from Rubicon Racing, but in the end another fantastic victory for Taylor and Murphy, while Visser and Badenhorst captured third.
We had some bad luck in the morning. Yes, we made up quite a lot of places this morning, and then we had a bracket that came loose, and we stopped about 8 minutes to fix that, and then after that it was good.
So Taylor and Murphy well clear of the pack. The Castrol Toyota pair 20 points ahead of Visser and Badenhorst, while the other Castrol Toyota pair of Foss and Howie are third, following their second successive second place finish.
He revolutionized fielding and was arguably one of the most popular cricketers during his playing days. Nowadays, John T. Rhodes has turned his attention to coaching, and while his talents have him traveling the world on a very tight schedule, Rhodes managed to take some time off to have another go as the celeb navigator for the Regent Racing team, his second innings, so to speak.
Having failed to finish in his first starting, John T. was desperate to reach the flag this time round, even if it meant running the route. And knowing his fitness, I wouldn't rule that out. Driving alongside Archie Rutherford, the pair finished 12th in the production vehicle category. From what I've heard, it looks like I picked the right race to navigate for because it was tough out there.
It was pretty difficult, you know, but I think being a novice, I was a bit anxious. The guys have put me under pressure saying, oh, it's so much dependent on the navigator because it's going to be quite difficult because it's so flat and a lot of fences and gates to go through. But everybody seemed to have a few problems from a navigational point of view. So I made a few mistakes, but it seemed like everybody else did the same. So our times weren't too bad.
Not too bad at all. The result puts him 5th in the Celeb Challenge standings, but it must be said they picked up some punctures along the way, unlike Derek Alberts, who had a problem-free run and sits on top.
The countdown continues to the Dakar Rally taking place in January 2014. The Imperial Toyota team have enjoyed tremendous success since joining the race in 2012, when Janiel de Villiers and Dirk van Zittewitz came 3rd, and rookies Duncan Voss and Rob Howie finished 10th.
Well, preparations are in full swing, and this time around, Howie will be joined by a new driver, Leroy Poulter.
Leroy, your first trip to Dakar, excited, nervous?
Yeah, I think a bit of both. You know, you don't know what to really expect. But I think, you know, having Rob there, he's been there and done it, and it will help me a lot.
How's training and testing been going?
Yeah, we spent some time obviously doing the Botswana race, and then we've been a week, just over a week in Namibia. And then obviously this event will give us some more time, and it seems pretty good at the moment.
Poulter's no stranger to cross-country racing. He didn't compete in the Vryburg 400, but the team used the opportunity to take the Toyota Hilux on a test run over the 2 days, alongside co-driver Alvin Kutsia, who deputised for Howie.
Look, I think every time you do enter something like this and you have more knowledge, you obviously deal with the things that are important. You know, the first time you absolutely are overwhelmed with the experience and what have you. And even going back to Namibia, for example, you hone in on the things that are important. So I think that's what it does. It just narrows it down for you to get the detail, you know.
The Ford Racing crew will be making their debut on the world stage through Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst.
We were glad to be part of the invitation initially, and then we're glad to accept that. And I think it's a lifelong dream that actually came true for both of us. I think we've all been standing next to the road since we were kids and watching and spectating, and now it all came together, and it's off to Dakar next year, 2014.
Chris, we chatted to Neil a little earlier. A lot of testing been going on in Namibia.
Yeah, no, we went there last week or the Monday, and me and Jaapie went with just a normal car in the dunes and tried to read the dunes and tried to drive the dunes. It's I must say it's quite tricky, but we went yesterday. We went with a racing car in the dunes, and it was good. I must say the testing is going very well.
Although the 2014 Dakar Rally will be the first for Visser and Badenhorst, they are front-running competitors in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship and have been part of the winning formula that has seen the new Ranger take victory on its debut in March, followed up by podium finishes in every race since.
The area they need to learn is going to be in the navigation and the sand. We know their speed in the rocky areas and the hard pack, and there's no debate there. They're really, really fast. And then I think the other thing is just to consolidate and keep it together. It's a long, long race. It's 15 days long. It's not a sprint like it is here. So to bring that car home every night in a good position and not a lot wrong with it, that's going to be the key to it.
The next 2 rounds of the championship are going to be very important in the Class D stakes, with the perennial consistent performers Jason Venter and Vincent van Alleman from Tryson Racing currently have a 20-point cushion over brothers Johan and Van der Horn in the Mullilan Toyota Land Cruiser.
The Horn brothers will go to the four-dealer 400 on the back of 2 successive wins, and an interesting tussle with high stakes is on the cards. Former champions Jack and Sarel Oosthuizen in their LMC Land Rover Defender are a further 2 points in arrears and were hit by a non-finish in Vryburg after contact with a gate post.
Taking part in their first race of the season was Deirdre Hutting and Gary Austin, and the pair did exceptionally well, 3rd in class.
When you talk Class E, you talk Dirk Pitter and Koos Claessens. The pair were unstoppable in their Ford Ranger. Dirk described the route as fantastic, and he proved it, the team being the only car in the class to reach the finish.
So Venter and Van Alleman lead the Class D standings on 66 points, while Pitter and Claessens are top of the log in Class E with 51.
This weekend on Super Sport on Saturday. The Fox need an onslaught of tries to get a crucial bonus point when they battle the Wallabies. Then it's lights, camera and disky action when Moses Mabhida hosts a spectacular MTN8 showdown. And with Aprilia hot on their wheels, Kawasaki will want to secure pole position for SBK USA. Then on Sunday, the heat is on in what's sure to be a fiercely contested FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup final. Then will the Highveld Lions find their roar in the Champions League 2020? And who will be a putt above the rest on day 4 of the most revered Links Championship? Up your game this weekend on Supersport.
Welcome back to the Donaldson Cross Country Championship. Let's move from the production vehicles to the specials, where it is extremely tight at the top. One of the men competing for the first time is Hansie Reeder, co-driver to Peter Ruthven from Rubicon Racing.
One of our navigators drew out of the race early in the week, so I'm his CFO, and I've been cashing the checks, so it's time for me to take the hot seat.
And how did you find it? Obviously the prologue is a lot shorter to the main race, but was it tough out there?
Yeah, yesterday was tough. There's been a few missed points, so we were backtracking, but yeah, it was very nice.
Championship leaders Hammond and Vichard Silvald from Elegant Fuel lived up to their reputation in qualifying, but they damaged their front steering arm over the course of both days and were forced to retire.
Second in the championship, Clint Gibson and Gary Campbell from Dirt Sport Components after finishing third.
The other Elegant Fuel pair of Quinton and Kylie Silvald were simply brilliant, Quinton winning his first race as a driver.
Evan Hutchison and Donnie Stassen are fourth, but it was no thanks to their performance in Vryburg. The pair picked up a crack on the chassis of their motor-ride racing back Viper and were forced to retire after the first loop.
Well, I managed to catch up with Evan immediately after he pulled into the DSP, and I can tell you that he wasn't a happy man, but at least at this stage, they looked like they were going along very strongly.
Fifth in the standings, newcomers to cross-country racing, Philip de Vries and Johan Viljoen in their Conqueror Porter.
Despite having to race the last 30 Ks without brakes, Daniel and Lo Zili delivered a good result. They 7th in class. Driving with the brand new navigator in Hansie Reeder, Peter Ruthven claimed 5th place in the race and 8th in the standings.
Nardus Albert's one of the few drivers who raced in this area in years gone by, and Son Louis had one of their best performances so far this year.
But it was a fantastic race from Quinton and Kylie Silvald, while Gibson and Campbell pulled off the drive of the day.
Yeah, we're ecstatic. We didn't expect it this morning. We started off 38th. We had a dismal race yesterday. Had a burst water pipe. And yeah, we came to the field, we charged, the car was good. My navigator didn't miss a beat, which I really appreciate, was good. And yeah, we third. It was quite a surprise.
Notwithstanding failing to finish, the Silvalds, Herman and Vichard topped the Class A standings on 87.5, just ahead of Gibson and Campbell, while Vryburg winners Quinton and Kylie Silvalds are in third place on 70 points. Now, while the drivers and navigators certainly hog the headlines when it comes to the Donaldson Cross Country Championship, let's not forget about the support crew that accompanies the stars. These are the men and women that work tirelessly for hours on end, sometimes through the night, to ensure that the cars are in perfect shape to reach the finish line.
Is it a lot of hard work?
Ja, heel wat werk om te doen aan die kar. As hy terugkom, die hele kar weer alles afval, bearings check, strip, regmaak wat gebreek het. Ja, daar's heel wat werk aan dit na die races.
Now and then things happen outside of your control, but generally the car is normally not too bad. The worst of it is normally gearbox or something like that, or a piece of the frame here and there, but most of the time it's in good shape.
There's a lot of damage when they hit a rock. Normally the diff goes, they stretch the diff and it starts leaking oil, then you've got troubles. But race day, you don't have much time to repair it, so you just, what do you call it, field fix it. And that's it. In a prologue, when that happened, you can still repair it, strip it, because you got a whole night, to repair it. But race day, you just got 15 minutes for service. Just try to keep it on the road so the guys can finish.
You work on these things like 24/7. And because I'm only working on my spare time on them, so it takes a lot of that as well. Personal life, there's not such a thing.
If you don't perform, then of course, people will have a look at somebody else that will be performing. So from our side in the preparation, you have to perform, and then of course, on the track, the driver and the navi have to perform to give some credit to the manufacturer and the sponsors of the event.
The battle in Class P has some interesting connotations and will feature Sean Wright in his first ever Donaldson cross-country race. He'll be driving alongside co-driver George Smallberger along for Regent Racing.
Realistically, how are you looking to finish, or how are you looking to do over the next 2 days?
Over the next 2 days, my plan is just to finish. I'm here to get some experience. If I can go back on Sunday having completed this, it's 460 odd kilometers that I'll have, and I'm just planning to finish.
Currently riding high at the top of the championship are Swaziland-based driver John Thompson and Mauricio Matten in a Zarco, who finished second behind Matthews and Julian Hardy in a Century Racing CR2 in Vryburg. Matthews, no stranger to winning the special vehicles overall, had a very tough day on Saturday, having to fight his way through the field after a burst water pipe on Friday put him at the back of the field.
After their third non-finish, Kutsia and Sandra Labuskakny occupied third spot in Class P.
Veteran Rob Walker and Lesotho co-driver Ashley Thorne, who previously competed in the legendary Vryburg events, finished third in class.
Dr. Keith Makanete and co-driver Taylor Mochibelele managed to place in the top 10.
Smallberger and Wright did well on debut, but it was all Matthews and Hardy.
We had to push today. We didn't know if the engine would survive, but it did, and I believe we've got one of the fastest top speed out there, so it was a good day for us.
It was a brave performance from Thompson, who was suffering from a bout of food poisoning, but they managed to finish the grueling Vryburg 400 in second place, still putting the pair at the top of the Class P leaderboard.
While it doesn't compete in its own class just yet, the side-by-side car is becoming increasingly popular amongst teams, with many putting it to the test ahead of its official introduction into the Donaldson Cross Country Championship next year. Motorride Racing put Leander Pinar behind the wheel of a highly customized Can-Am.
Do you definitely see a future with this type of vehicle?
Oh yes, for sure. Well, we're still busy testing, and there is some things that we're worried about, but that's why we're here testing, developing the vehicle for next year. But definitely the base is there, and the speed is there, the handling is there, and if we see how fast we catch the guys in the time trial that started in front of us, it's like I said, this thing is so underestimated. It's fantastic. It's really.
It may not sound like the most powerful vehicle out there, but don't be fooled. Dynamite comes in small packages, and we can't wait to see them in action in 2014. From the Nationals, let's move over to the Regionals, the Drag 250. It took place in the Underberg in July, the fourth leg of the KZN Regional Champs. A lot of the competitors are regular faces in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship.
Yeah, just come today just to come and play. We've got a national in 2 weeks, so we're just basically here today to come and play and test the car and put a bit of time in the seat and have some fun.
Yeah, as you can see, the ice is on the car. It's going to be, I think it's really going to be slippery this morning, and cold as well. I think those river crossings are going to be pretty cold, yeah.
We finished the first race, and then the last three we haven't, so just to get some seat time, get some more mileage on the car, and just get a bit comfortable.
First up, qualifying in Lance Strathuri and Carl Wichmann were the pace setters in Class A, putting up a time of 19 minutes and 32 seconds.
Just over 30 seconds behind them, Arthur Barnes and Anthony Usher.
Now, qualifying is a lot shorter in the regionals, with the distance being just 21 kilometers. Don Thompson and Wayne Foster covered it in 21 minutes and 23 seconds.
Here's championship leader Reg Sutton and Warren Berneker, the pair posting the third fastest time.
Marcus Taylor and Trace Moore, fourth on the grid, so to speak.
All on his lonesome with no one to direct him, James Watson didn't do him much harm though, as he was fifth quickest.
Another man opting to go solo, lucky number 7 for number B21, Gary Campbell.
Here's a team that certainly needs no introduction. Lance Woolridge and Ward Huxtable putting their Ford Ranger to the test in regional racing. While standing out like a sore thumb in the process, they covered qualifying in just over 25 minutes.
Proof that it's just as tough in the regionals, the pair suffered a misted windscreen and as a result drove into a gate post. Not too surprising, as visibility was almost impossible inside there.
While that mishap put them in 18th spot, 10 places ahead in 8th was Neil Camp and Stuart Ramsey, the pair cutting the 22-minute mark by 16 seconds.
Qualifying done and dusted, unlike the Nationals, all of this racing takes place over one day, meaning that there's no rest after the 21Ks. It's back to strategizing, fixing and tweaking in preparation for 4 more loops, each a distance of 57 Ks.
First out, Lance Trethewey and Carl Wichmann, following their brilliant run in qualifying. The KZN pair very well known from their participation in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship.
While the likes of Woolridge and Huxtable wouldn't have too much trouble crossing this river, it's a different story for the low-carb Arthur Barnes and Anthony Asher. They're currently in 2nd place.
Speaking of Woolridge and Huxtable, here they are screaming their way through the field, and they certainly needed to after placing 18th in qualifying. No signs of misted windscreens this time though.
Not far off in 4th place and 1st in Class B, Marcus Taylor and Trace Moore.
Another familiar face and another man going solo, Gary Campbell. He was 7th quickest in qualifying, won the Clubman's Championship and only needed to complete 2 laps.
Well, we heard from him earlier, Daniel Brooks alongside Gavin Gray and their Ducati's Properties bat. Daniel saying he's just there to have some fun.
Championship leaders Reg Sutton and Warren Bennick are having a rather tough time of things with engine troubles, having done so well in qualifying where they were 3rd quickest.
James Watson again, manoeuvring his way over an extremely steep and rocky area. Well handled as he makes his way through Loop 2.
Not far behind him, Don Thompson and Wayne Foster, also having little trouble getting through.
Graham Peterson, another familiar face in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship, working hard to earn valuable points.
The Schroders from Manfred and Son Racing, Manfred and Brent, moving very well after placing 10th after qualifying. They've certainly moved up a few spots.
A side-by-side vehicle, this one driven by another Woolridge, Gareth, alongside Simon Harrison. The Polaris being developed by Neil Woolridge Motorsports can be officially introduced next year.
Robert Spencer and Kevin Teron flying through the field after starting the race in 22nd position. Not flying though, Ralph Voigt.
Hey, I don't know. I came over that big bump over there, and next thing I had no more gears. I don't know what's wrong. I'm going to have a look now. Pity, yeah. But I must say, very dusty out there. Yeah, you battle behind the other vehicles to pass them as well. But yeah, but otherwise it was going right.
2 loops done, 2 to go. First, though, the compulsory 15-minute stop at DSP for more repairs. And one man who'll welcome the break is Marcus Taylor.
The pipe broke on my reservoir for the rear brakes, and all the brake fluid leaked out onto my boots, which made my first lap very slippery on the pedals. But we fixed it now, so hopefully the next 2 laps we can pedal a bit more. Hell of a rough though, so I think it's time to just back off a bit now. These cars are falling apart. It's very, very rough.
Well, it's not falling apart for Lance Trethewey and Carl Wichmann. The men are well in control of this race, and barring catastrophe, victory is within their grasp.
Lying in 2nd spot, Arthur Barnes and Anthony Asher, although it's hard to tell given how their car is caked in dirt.
Marcus Taylor spoke about how difficult things had been with his car falling apart, and we're on board with him and Trace Moore, and it must be said, I think Marcus was being a little hard on himself. They have definitely recovered.
The Schroders, Manfred and Brent, they've done exceptionally well, climbing 5 spots to move into 5th place.
Graham Peterson currently producing one of the drives of the day. He started the morning in 29th place, but is currently just outside the top 10.
It's a new car, it's unknown territory, but Gareth Woolridge and Simon Harrison have driven it like old pros. The pair currently 7th in their Polaris side by side.
Just behind them, Robert Spencer and Kevin Taron. In 9th place, the exceptionally experienced Gary Campbell, who sits alongside Clint Gibson in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship, relishing the conditions as a driver.
The seasoned rally and cross-country racer, Tony Ball, handling all the duties on his own, finishing in a credible 10th place. A brilliant race from start to finish for Lance Trethewey and Carl Wickman, ensuring victory in a convincing fashion.
It was nice to get the monkey off our back and finish the race, and that was good. It was tricky conditions today. It was slippery, you had to be on the money the whole day.
So Trethewey and Wickman come home first, 1 minute and 42 seconds clear of Barnes and Usher, while Woolridge and Huxtable claimed 3rd spot, more than 7 minutes off the pace.
And so wraps up a brilliant 2 days of racing in the Donaldson Cross Country Championship here in Vryburg. We've waited long enough. We last saw racing in 1990. And now after 23 years, we hope to see it back within at least a year. Congratulations to the winners of the various events, especially Anthony Taylor and Dennis Murphy. 4 out of 4 with just 2 races to go. Next up, we'll see you in Tabanchu. The Free State, get ready, because we're coming. It's the Ford Dealer 400.
You can catch all the action right here on Supersport.
The Donaldson Cross Country Championship, brought to you by Donaldson Filtration Systems, a market leader in filtration solutions.